Welcome to First. I'm Nichelle Poston, along with Mark Eichman and Shirley Min. A new vision is taking shape in the Delaware theater world. Someday, there just might be a Wilmington on the road to Broadway tryout connection.
Former Wilmington Councilman Steve Martelli has been on the road for the last 4 years. He came home long enough to tell us about his role in helping establish diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Cuba.
Have you ever thought about your relationship to the monsters you encounter at Halloween? Well, there's training involved. We'll teach you what they know this week. First, your public media news magazine starts now.
Almost 3 decades ago, the Delaware Theater Company became the first structure and an idea that would become the Wilmington Waterfront Redevelopment Project. The head of that company, Bud Martin, wants to take that first and add another first. He envisions a Wilmington to Broadway tryout. First Look checks in on that vision with the help of Maurice Hines and his performance in Tapping Through Life. It's not often you'll get to visually experience the life of a Broadway legend like Maurice Hines, who came tapping through the Delaware Theater Company. Although Hines took center stage, his goal is to always pay tribute to his late brother, Gregory.
I was reading a dance magazine, and they didn't have my brother's name there, and Gregory had recently passed away. And I realized how quick they forget. And I said, I'm not going to have that.
Maurice and Gregory graced many stages alongside entertainment stars such as Judy Garland, Ella Fitzgerald, Sammy Davis Jr., and Lena Horne. Those experiences inspired this production.
Tappa Through Life is really my thank you to them. And of course, thank you to my mother and my father.
What's great in this show is that it's not just Maurice, but he's brought in sort of the next generation of 2 young brothers who are both college kids, the Manzari brothers, Leo and John, who are absolutely amazing.
Go. Wonderful.
Instantly, the Manzari brothers caught Hines' attention. The tap duo reminded him of moments he spent with his brother tap dancing.
I don't find a lot of young male tap dancers. And tap comes from the offshoot of the West African boot dance or the Kathak dances in India. It's rhythm. Give them that.
It's that kind of rhythm that connected Hines to local talent also featured in the show. Meet 10-year-old Maximus Clevens.
I try to practice as much as possible. It's really fun too.
Clevens certainly knows how to have fun on stage. He expressed plenty of excitement during a routine with the Manzari brothers. Clevens auditioned for a part in the show at the Delaware Theater Company that Martin hopes will continue to attract local talent. 13-year-old Abigail Cowan will also hit the stage, thanks to Hines, who was quite impressed during her audition.
Even though you have a set style and curriculum for tap, it's basically your own style, and you incorporate your own steps and you can make steps up, and I feel like it's very original, and I love being on stage and tapping.
That feeling is why Hines encourages parents to expose their children to not only tap, but all forms of dance and art.
I think the arts, they inspire imagination. That's what they inspire. And when I see young kids, when you talk to them and you say, what do you want to be? And they're in the arts, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpture, whatever. Somebody triggers something in them.
According to Martin, he's attracted to people with that type of passion and a wide range of productions that showcase art in many forms.
I think what's unique about us, one of my interests and passion, is to try to develop new work that I think can find life after Delaware Theater Company.
From this Delaware stage, it's obvious that it's possible.
So I want to have a good mix of that, but I also hope that we'll have developed a couple of new shows that will have moved on, and we will be a part of it, and it'll be nice to open the Playbill in New York and say originally produced by the Delaware Theater Company. So that's my goal for the next 5 years.
As for Hines, who reveals so much about his life on stage, he admits that reflecting on his past is a reminder that the show is just as important to his fans.
It's a love letter to the audiences, because my mother said you owe them 110%, not 100%, 110, because they don't have to be there.
One thing I like to add, 3 local tap dancers were selected to perform separately in the show as well. Maximus Abigail and 9-year-old Jake Sweeney, who I did not get the chance to interview, but he makes an appearance in the story. He's the energetic boy with the blonde hair.
A lot of talent in the show, and it looked like a really fun show. How long is it going to be sticking around in the Delaware Theater Company?
It was definitely a fun show, Shirley. It was supposed to end on October 4th, but the response has been so positive that the last show will be Sunday, October 11th.
Very good. Thank you so much, Nichelle. There's a review of the show on newsworks.org/Delaware. And if you want to learn more about the Delaware Theater Company, find them at delawaretheater.org.
Before coming to Philadelphia, Pope Francis was in Cuba. That visit follows this summer's normalization of relations between the island nation and the U.S. Former Wilmington City Councilman Steve Martelli now works for the State Department in Cuba. We sat down with him at Toscana's restaurant in his old district to get his thoughts on Cuba, its people, and its relationship with the U.S.
It's been a great ride for one. You know, it's for a guy like me who grew up during the Cold War, you know, and, you know, state sponsors of terror, which Cuba was on for the longest time, and the Cold War being what it was, and, you know, how, you know, we practiced, you know, the air raids and, you know, putting our heads between our knees against the wall and all that kind of thing in preparation for the big bad Soviets and the big bad Cubans, and to be down there and then just to kind of see everything open up the way it has been almost surreal. You know, the flag raising ceremony was unbelievable. You know, the Secretary Kerry came down, and I had an opportunity to work to be an integral part of a certain part of his visit, which was a great experience and great fun. And for me, the most memorable part was to see those 3 Marines who were there in 1961 when they lowered the flag for the last time, what they thought was going to be the last time, and to have those 3 there and present the flag to the current Marines, who then in turn raised the flag, was unbelievable. Literally brought a tear to my eye. So heartwarming, so much patriotism flowing through me at that particular time. It was incredible.
Really historic moment. Extremely,
you know, absolutely. There's no other way to describe it. It was historic. It was unbelievable. To be there, to watch it, to see the whole thing unfold the way it went about. You know, it's something that I'll always be able to hold close and be able to share with folks because it was just unbelievable. You can't put it into words.
What is life like in Cuba for the Cuban people? Is there a sense that things are changing and that this change in relations will have an effect on the day-to-day life for an average Cuban citizen?
I think the Cuban people are so excited about this change. They're very welcoming. They love Americans. They love the United States. Then they're really looking forward to the future of a relationship with the United States. They're looking forward to economic development within Cuba, you know, which is one of these things that the reestablishment of diplomatic relations has done. Now, of course, we know that the embargo is not lifted and that they're 2 separate things that have nothing to do with one another, really. But that, you know, this reestablishment of diplomatic relations has done so much for the, you know, for the Cuban folks. At least the opportunity, they see opportunity now, and they feel very happy about what the future holds.
Obviously, as somebody who works for the State Department in Cuba during this historic summer, and you'll go back shortly, to be in Cuba, a lot of work to be done from your side, from the State Department side, to sort of, now that the relations have improved,
yeah.
Does it change the work?
Oh, absolutely changes the work. I mean, the State Department is always going to, you know, first and foremost be the diplomatic corps, you know, and then, And you know, the interesting thing about Cuba for me personally, I guess maybe, is, you know, it's been the State Department, my job with the State Department as a whole has been a great experience for me. I've grown professionally, I've grown personally. I can't say enough positive things about the State Department and what I have gotten from the State Department. But the one thing I think that kind of gets lost a lot of times is that, you know, here we have a situation where we have enacted change without military intervention. You know, the State Department has reestablished diplomatic relations with the government of Cuba without a shot being fired, without any sort of military action. And it just goes to show the strength of diplomacy and how through conversation and compromise we can achieve change. You know, and that's something that I have really learned a lot about and learned a lot from. And so it's been a phenomenal experience.
Former Wilmington City Councilman Steve Martelli, now working for the State Department in Cuba, and you'll head back to Cuba shortly. Good luck to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Mark.
Coming up on First, monsters aren't just created, they need to learn how to be spooky without being too scary. A Teach Me report from Frightland is just ahead. And food trucks are big business in big cities. Delaware has seen an explosion of them as well.
State of Play has been off for the summer, but with the return of the fall, we have the return of the team. Stephanie Hansen of the law firm of Young Conaway, Stargett and Taylor, and former Newcastle County President. With her is Michael Stafford, an attorney, columnist, and occasional MSNBC contributor. Are you ready for 2016? And of course, John Carney for governor?
Absolutely. I think it was the announcement that everybody's been waiting for quite some time now, and it's finally come.
Yeah, I mean, good for John. John is, I think, going to enjoy being in Dover, assuming he wins, much more than he's enjoyed his time down in D.C., where you kind of one voice lost in the forest of a very dysfunctional institution. Mm-hmm. I think he was right to think that he can accomplish a lot more as governor than he can as one member of Congress.
I wonder if anyone else will get into the race.
On the Democratic side?
Yes.
Of anybody of consequence? I mean, anybody can throw it. There may be somebody who throws their name into the hat, but it would be somebody without much of an organization, without much in the way of funds.
I know there'd been a lot of speculation earlier about whether Tom Gordon was going to be jumping into the race. I think if that were going to pass, there wouldn't have been the trail off in conversation and activity that we've seen for quite some time now. So I don't think that's going to happen. And I agree with Mike. You know, you may have someone that decides to throw their hat in on the Democratic side, but it's not going to be someone that's well funded or of consequence. And they're going to be running for some other reason than really wanting to be governor. On the Republican side, there's Colin Bonini, Lacey Lafferty. Well, they've got to have somebody, you know.
You would think that with the budget issues in Dover, I mean, it is almost a situation made to order for Colin. It's right there in his wheelhouse. So if there ever was a year for a Colin upset, maybe this is it. I mean, he's kind of fixated on the budget issues. Lacey Lafferty, you know, when I think of Lacey, I think of a female Yosemite Sam with the 6 shooters.
Oh no!
I just don't think she's a credible candidate. I wouldn't imagine that Colin's going to have much difficulty beating her in a primary. Colin's a pretty conservative guy, but a likable, you know, man of the people kind of conservative. So it's going to be very hard for her to flank him on the right. And you know, Colin's built a statewide organization before. Whether he can win in a general election or not, I doubt it. But if there's ever a year, it's probably this year.
And will he work? You know,
well,
I think he's run a statewide race before, I believe, for treasurer against Chip Flowers, and it just fell apart. So the question is, will he be able to keep it together this time enough?
But Colin was of everybody on the ticket that year. That was 2010. Remember, Colin outperformed everybody else. Colin outperformed Christine O'Donnell. He was the highest Republican vote getter. So yeah, if he works for it, and if the stars align, maybe there's a chance for Colin this year. The issue that's going to be the fiscal mess in Dover is made to order for somebody with Colin's background and expertise. So.
Well, one thing is certain, John Carney is definitely a low-key guy. Do you think he should put an exclamation point after his name like Jeb Bush?
What about a C with like 2 little red arrows coming out of the sides? He could do that too. I don't know. I mean, John's a low-key guy, but he's a likable person. He's got a statewide organization already built. He's a known name. If I'm John, I'm playing not to lose.
If all of a sudden he were to try to rebrand himself as John with an exclamation point, it would just look so transparent. I think his challenge is going to be not making it quite so clear that he's upset with being told he's too young. Okay. I mean, I've seen him speak a couple of times. There's a little bit of bitterness associated with that. He doesn't need that. He's great on his own. He just needs to blow past that.
But Brian, I mean, Brian is if there's one thing I've heard about Brian Townsend, because I can't just say Brian because I could be talking about either one of them.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Bryans, the big B's. Brian Townsend is known as an excellent campaigner. The guy knows how to get out there and knock on doors. He knows how to speak to audiences. He knows how to fundraise. I mean, he is good at those things. I'm excited about his candidacy. I mean, I think out of everybody in Dover, he really has been one of the shining stars, one of the rising stars in the General Assembly.
Although Brian Short does well. I mean, he's a good candidate as well. So this is going to be the race for us to watch and comment on.
We'll all be paying attention. Well, a year from now, we'll be done with the primary. It's certainly going to be a long and fun year. Stephanie Hansen, Michael Stafford, thanks for being a part of State of Play. Watch all of this interview online when you click the drop-down box on the top of newsworks.org/Delaware.
Last weekend marked the Frightland Mud Run, a fundraiser to combat leukemia. Here are some of the photos of the event, which I was able to accomplish in just 55 minutes. Yes, hold your applause, thank you. The Mud Run is set for the weekend before the Middletown attraction opens for its fall run. Avi Wolfman-Arendt has more in our Teach Me segment. Avi.
Hey, Mark. So Frightland has been a fall fixture in Middletown for almost 2 decades, but we wondered, where do all the monsters and ghouls that make Frightland so frightening come from, and how did they become so ghoulish? We answer those questions in this month's Teach Me segment. It's an ominous, misty night in Middletown, Delaware. The clouds glow a ghostly shade of white thanks to bridge lights on the horizon. In the middle of a field, monstrous creatures gather around a mysterious woman cloaked in black. She calls them forth and asks, with a cackle, to partake in some constructive criticism.
Okay, now we're going to do constructive criticism.
That's right, constructive criticism.
So let's hear constructive criticism for Delhi Manor.
I got one.
I figured you did.
The very last guy after the game room, the actor in the previous room said he was unstable. And he did have like the motion down, but what he said, he started it, but I feel like he could have had a finishing response, like his voice could have cracked a little bit.
The ringleader here is Debbie Hall, general manager at Frightland and its chief mistress of mayhem. Hall declined to be on camera, the better to maintain her mystery, but she's the heart and soul of Frightland, one of the premier haunted attractions in the Mid-Atlantic. And she's the one responsible for hiring and training all the humans who make it so scary.
From August to November, there is no weekends. There is no girlfriends, there's no boyfriends, there's no football. You are going to live and bleed Frightland.
Hall's employees come from all walks of life. They're teachers and hairdressers and 9-to-5 professionals. But for 3 months a year, and with the help of heavy makeup, they become scare experts.
You have to learn how to judge your customers. If it's 8th grade girls, then yeah, you can play a little bit more. If it's mom and dad and kids, you have to tone it down a little bit. What scares one person may not scare the other. You have to be quick.
There is a surprising amount of preparation involved in becoming an effective monster. The actors even have coaches like Casey Stone who help them prepare for their roles.
It's pretty much just watching them, seeing what they're doing, because if they're in the middle of a scare and they kind of get embarrassed and back off, you just kind of have to be like, push a little bit.
Stone, who is a plumber by day, likes to work in tandem with other monsters so that one can distract while the other scares. It's all carefully choreographed, but with room for improvisation so that actors can exploit that perfect, vulnerable moment. There's only one thing, really, that monsters aren't allowed to say.
You hear someone say boo here,
That taboo aside, the actors have a lot of creative input in how they craft their characters. That's why they gather at Frightland for the 3 weeks leading up to opening weekend, where they workshop their roles and get ready for prime time. Employees take test runs through the haunted houses so they can give feedback. Even the makeup artists work on their craft. This is all done under the watchful eye of Debbie Hall, who ultimately decides which actors and cosmetologists get the best roles. And of course, if the mysterious madam doesn't think someone's up to snuff, Frightland can always employ them in other ways. Frightland goes live this weekend and runs through early November. They told us they're doing a special coffin-based competition this year. We're going to be giving away a car to the winner. You can find details on their Facebook page.
All right, Avi, so I'm curious, why does somebody want to do this?
Well, when I asked that question, it was a simple answer. It was, I just really like to scare people. You know, it's not a lot of money in this type of work. It's a big time commitment, really. And they just say there's a special thrill when you really catch someone in a moment of surprise, and you can't replace that feeling.
The pure joy of scaring someone. That's great. Thanks, Avi. As always, you can read more education coverage at newsworks.org/Delaware.
Our friend Rob Torno is here today with 2 cartoons for us. Hey, Rob.
How you doing?
The first is relating to John Carney's announcement to run for governor. Why do you think he's a shoo-in?
Well, I mean, Delaware overwhelmingly supports Democrats versus Republicans. There's a voter advantage there, plus just, you know, a bias in terms of opinions. You know, he's going to continue probably Markell's policies, which have been fairly popular with the electorate. And even Republicans, you know, Bonini, who's going to be his chief opponent probably.
And Lacey Lafferty, don't leave her out.
Yeah, no, it's true. But Bonini came out and said, you know, he'll be a great governor, right? So right off the bat, you have all these people who are seemingly supporting him. I just think, you know, it's the type of thing where he's just going to win easily, unless something happens, right?
Yeah, I like with 0% of the vote in.
I mean, he'll face some challenges. It's interesting to go from a steady House seat into the mess that's going to be Delaware's budget over the next year. So we'll see if he's up for it.
Okay, we're going to shift gears to the Eagles. The honeymoon's over for Chip Kelly after all that confusion / excitement about all the changes to the team. You think he's just not cut out for the NFL? Can't make that transition?
I don't think that. I mean, I think he's a smart guy. You know, obviously his offense has worked in the past. You know, maybe he took on too much becoming a GM. Maybe the owner gave him a little too much power. I mean, he has lots of new offense, not to lose defensive players. They just need to gel together, and, you know, we'll see if he can bring it in.
Should we be throwing in the towel in this season or what? Because Eagles fans tend to do that.
The Eagles have been 0-2 before and have made the playoffs, so it's not time to throw in the towel yet, but we'll see if they can beat the Jets.
Okay. Well, are there a lot of other NFL coaches who are also GMs?
I mean, there's some. Andy Reid obviously was also Belichick, you know, but for a new coach like that, it's kind of rare to give him all that power right away. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if it kind of works out for him.
Well, for his sake, hopefully he turns the team around.
It is tough times in Philly right now.
All right, great insight as always, Rob. Now, Rob also writes. Check him out on newsworks.org and on Twitter at Rob Torno. We'll see you back here next month. Thanks, Rob.
It's snack time on First. There's a food truck boom taking place in the First State. First Experience takes you to this rolling revolution that offers everything from barbecue to fish tacos and more.
Rolling Revolution came together to create a culture and advocate to change the laws that will allow mobile food and vending businesses to be able to do business in Delaware.
I was looking for a way to help form everything, so I got all of us together one night, local trucks and trucks that are looking to start, and we put together, it was first called the Delaware Food Truck and Mobile vending services. So we're like, that didn't work. It's kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We just go by S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
This is way better quality, way more selection than you find on the streets in, say, New York, which is where I would normally see food trucks.
It is incredibly fun to roll up, to go to different places, different events, see different people. The brick and mortar is your one location and people have got to find you. We get to find the people.
The excitement of just being able to meet and interacting with them and growing a relationship with them. That's one of the pleasures I have. And that's why a lot of people come to our truck. And we just want customers to say, wow, there's more than just Irish pubs, chain restaurants, and fried food around this area. You can actually get really good food from these guys.
We got a little bit of everything, snow cones, fries, everything was excellent, very good.
It's awesome. It's bean and corn and rice, and it's great. And the fried tortilla, it's delicious. I got the crab and asparagus, and it's an over easy egg on top of crostini. It's messy and it's amazing.
People are just amazed and drawn into this experience. It creates community. So it's more than just the food.
We're trying to keep it a really nice elite group of trucks. So when you call to get a truck for your event, you know what you're getting. You're getting people that are on time, that are actual business, great business owners, and just love doing this. I like to say we're like Voltron, because each of us bring a piece of the puzzle. We all work together because at the end, we all want to have a successful business. It's almost like a family almost now. It's really awesome. I love when I can give somebody some kimchi tacos. You're like, I never had this ever. And it just puts a smile on my face. And I'm just like, my heart and myself is on that dish, you know? And it's just a great feeling being a chef.
To create this incredible experience, that's a dream come true.
The Rolling Revolution has since been all over Wilmington and Newcastle County at various events, and by the looks of things, they'll probably be at a lot more. If you're craving more information on the trucks or where they'll be, you can find them at rollingrev.com.
Next week on First, more of my conversation with Steve Martelli. We'll have his thoughts on Wilmington politics now that he's been away for a while. He has an interesting take. And what would this bay look like with dozens of oyster nests? We discuss the aquaculture debate.
That is First for this week. We thank you for watching. For Avi Wolfman-Arrett, Nichelle Polston, and Mark Eichman, I'm Shirley Min. Have a great week.
To go play in the park. That's what she used to do. Now, that's Gregory over there. That's me over here in the white shorts with the white buckskin shoes with the brown trim to go play in the park. My mother, she was too much. But she began to notice something. As we walked up Leonard Avenue, people would run out of stores. The grocery store, the beauty shop, say, here they come.